Rice, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
DCTV podcast. There's too many now! Exclamation point. Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are going to talk about how we have a new Supergirl and what that means for the future of the character. And we debated on whether or not we should just talk about this in like a news section of another episode or dedicate an entire episode to it, because we were like, is there enough to talk about? But clearly, according to the numerous pages of Google Docs, we have lots to talk about.
I was like, what is this podcast even going to be about? And then I opened the Google Doc and I was like, 12 pages? I should have never doubted you, Rebecca.
It might seem like one news item, but it's many and several. So we decided in the end that getting a new Supergirl was actually pretty big news and deserved its own conversation. So we'll share our thoughts, but feel free to drop any questions or comments in the chat and we'll discuss them. And I also want to say that we did get asked earlier today if we knew that we were live streaming during the premiere of Superman and Lois. We knew. And if
one of us knew. One of us knew.
and all I'm going to say about that is if Superman and Lois feels threatened by us live streaming at the same time, you know what? We were here first. We've been recording Supergirl Radio on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for I don't know how many years now. So all I'm saying is, you don't like it? You can move out of the time slot.
Maybe they should have moved to accommate us. Ever thought about that? Superman and Lois?
That's what I'm saying. You can move out of the time slot. We were here first. But no, on all, in all seriousness, we hope the show is a hit. We hope it's great. So hope everybody.
I set my DVR for it today. I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. I've got it recording as we speak, so I'll be watching it later. I'm very curious about what it's going to be about.
Are we podcasting about it next week?
Yes, we actually maybe it's a good time to talk about it. We'll talk about it at the end of the episode as well. But next week we will be having a pilot pod, which is something we have stolen from the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. So we'll be doing a pilot pod on the Superman and Lois pilot that's airing as we live stream. So we'll be talking about that next week on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, because that's the time we have carved out for Supergirl Radio. So all I'm saying is we were here first. So that
I like us starting out hot in this podcast episode by creating a turf war with the new Superman and Lois television show. Come at us, bro. Come at us. You gotta have to take Tuesdays at 9.
But seriously, we do wish the show the best of success, and we hope everybody watches it and checks it out. And we'll talk about it next week. But I guess we're not here to talk about Superman or Lois. No. We have Supergirl news that we need to talk about. So I guess we should get to the news. So, and before we get into this, just because we have some live streaming production stuff, Morgan, if you, while I'm doing the new stuff and vice versa, if you want to get into the brand and overlay section, got a lot of overlays this week because I like to make it visual. Hopefully it is very clear and about all the news sources. And if you're curious and want to follow along with us, all the things that we're going to be talking about are in the video description below. So you can click on those news items if you want to follow along and read the articles with us. But yeah, so if you want to pop those overlays up, wow, I'm speaking great. Okay, so the first one, the biggest news that we got this week, according to Deadline.com, the Young and the Restless Daytime Emmy nominee Sasha, and I believe her name is pronounced Calle. I looked up a video. I looked up a video of her, and this will be in the video description below. And I listened to her say her own name, and to me, it sounded like Calle. So if anybody wants to chime in on the pronunciation of that, we want to say it correctly. But the way she said it, it sounded like Calle.
Oh wow! I would have 100% gotten that wrong.
Yeah. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, let us know. We want to make sure we get that correctly. But what I heard, it sounded like Calle. But Sasha Calle has scored the feature role of DC Universe's new Supergirl. The Boston, Massachusetts-born Colombian actress is the first Latina Supergirl ever in DC and was chosen from more than 425 actresses who auditioned. She will make her debut in Warner Brothers movie The Flash. The Flash director Andy, and I think we're gonna have to look up the we're gonna have to look at the pronunciation of his name. I think it's Muschietti. Watched all the auditions, and the Deadline article says, I hear along with DC Films boss Walter Hamada and the producers was blown away by the actress's toughness and vulnerability that she brought to the role. And he said, and I quote, I saw more than 400 auditions. The talent pool was truly amazing, and it was very hard to make a decision, but we finally found an actress who was destined to play this role, unquote. So the actresses apparently weren't informed what part they were reading for until very late in the process. Calle also did a chemistry read with Flash star Ezra Miller. All auditions, chemistry readings, and meetings, especially during COVID, were done all on Zoom. And Sasha will be flying to the Flash production soon. This article also mentioned, I just figured I'd put it out here, Calle's discovery here is akin to what Warner's and Zack Snyder did in casting fresh-faced Gal Gadot, who was known previously from Fast and Furious 6 in the role of Wonder Woman, which catapulted her into being a global star. And it talks about how the Israeli actress made her debut as the DC superhero initially in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice before starring in Wonder Woman 1984, and Justice League. Calle plays the role of Lola Rosales on The Young and the Restless. She was nominated last year in the Outstanding Young Performer in a Drama Series category at the Daytime Emmys, and she also starred in the YouTube series Socially Awkward. So I just want to stop right here, if we could, because I feel like, I don't know, when I heard this news, I was like, what are the odds that a new Supergirl would be from my favorite soap opera?
I mean, I'm not saying that they were wondering what Rebecca would like best. I'm not saying that. But maybe
it's so funny because when the news was announced, because I've kind of fallen behind on The Young and the Restless since I moved back to Alabama. It's been like, I don't know, a year since I was watching it seriously. Of course, soap operas, like, storylines don't change much. Everything takes 6 months to do. So you can tune in at any point and you're like, oh, I'm right where I was. So it was so funny because I was trying to remember, like, I kind of remember her character, but what did she do? And then I was looking her up on the Wikipedia, like the Young and the Restless Wikipedia, which I believe I linked in the video description. It like all of a sudden like came back to me in this big flash of like memories. I was like, oh, she was in that terrible love triangle with Summer and Kyle. And I was so disinterested in that storyline. And because I'm not a big fan of Summer, which is funny because Summer on The Young and the Restless, her father, Nick Newman, who is like my favorite character on the show, he calls Summer Supergirl, which is funny. That the other character she was in the love triangle with got called Supergirl. That's like her nickname that her dad gives her. But the other person is actually going to be playing Supergirl. So I thought that was funny. So that love triangle.
I guess she won the love triangle.
I think she did in the real world. I think Lola may have lost. I need to check up on it, but I think Kyle and Summer might be getting married. We'll get into details about the Young and the Restless situation.
I think what that means is that Lola needs to get on her motorcycle and drive through that wedding.
It's the only way to do a proper soap
Get
opera.
in there.
Situation.
Vroom, Lola.
Through the stained glass window. Just get in there. Yeah, Lola had a whole bunch of problems. And I think I have... Did I meant? I think I skipped ahead to talk about the Young and the Restless because I was so excited about it. But so this is how I know Sasha Calle. So she played Lola Rosales, and just to give you some kind of background, Lola, like I said, was in a love triangle with Kyle and Summer. Kyle is the son of Jack Abbott, and Summer is the daughter of Nick Newman, who is the son. Her grandfather is Victor Newman. So those are kind of like the big wigs of Young and the Restless. Kyle and Summer got married at one point. However, he only married Summer because he wanted to ensure that Summer would donate part of her liver to save Lola's life. And then Kyle and Summer eventually did get divorced, leaving Lola and Kyle to get engaged to be married. I think they did get married, but I don't think they're married anymore because I think I saw a promo where like Kyle and Summer were doing something. I was like, I don't know what's happening here anymore. But Lola also, once I kind of refreshed things, I was like, oh yeah, I remember Lola was a chef. She talked about cooking all the time. So there's kind of the backstory on her character on The Young and the Restless. So it was kind of funny to me that of all the actresses that they saw in 400 and something auditions, they would pick somebody for The Young and the Restless. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. Myself, I've been watching YNR since I was 15 years old. So that made me happy. And if anybody's wondering, like, if you've never seen Sasha in anything, like how she is an actress, I will say that storyline was not my favorite. I hate love triangles. But she made Lola likable. I don't know that it was the best material because, soap operas usually aren't the greatest writing in the world, but she made me like Lola, and that's kind of hard with new characters on soap operas. Just speaking as a soap opera fan, like you have your long-standing characters that you care about, and then when new people come in, you're like, who is this? Why should I care about this person?
Interloper.
Who is this new person? I've been watching these characters for like 20 years. You better have a reason to be here. So that's kind of like, at least for me, that's how I am as a soap opera fan. I'm like, I don't care about these new people. Just give me the old people I care about. So the fact that she made me like Lola says something about her as an actress. So I will say that from my experience of watching her on The Young and the Restless. So
yeah, I was going to ask you if you had seen her on The Young and the Restless and what you thought of her. So that's interesting. Now I know her background. I know she was in that love triangle.
It was not great. I don't care about Kyle. I moderately care about Summer. I don't care about Kyle. So it was hard for me that like two women were fighting over Kyle. And I was like, why?
You guys can do better.
I really feel like you can. I think at one point, Summer and Lola like sort of befriended each other. So that was nice. Which usually happens on soap operas. They're, cat fighting one week and the next week they're like, I'm going to save your life or whatever it is. So that's usually how it goes. But I think she obviously did some really good work on The Young and the Restless because she was nominated for some young actress stuff. Because if you don't know, in daytime television, it's not just best actress, best actor. They have like a young category for soap actors. So like you're in the, I don't know what they consider young these days, but like usually like kid to like maybe early 20s, I guess, like not quite adult, but anyway, so they have a young actor category is what I'm saying. So she was
she was nominated.
She was obviously good enough to be nominated for that. So I'm actually really intrigued by this. So I just wanted to let people know she won me over as an actress, even though I'm very staunchly opposed to new actors on soap operas, or at least new characters. I don't mind the actors.
You can switch those all day.
Yeah. It's just the characters. Sometimes I'm like, who are you? What is this? So the fact that she was able to win me over, I think speaks a lot about her ability to be likable. And I think that's a characteristic that I think Supergirl should have, to be somebody that you want to kind of pull for and care about. So I think she's got that going for her. So I guess we kind of talked about what I think about her, but let's get back to so Sasha's response to all of this, because I don't know about you, Morgan, and we'll get to Sasha's response, but what was your response to this? Because we had no idea this was a possibility.
Yeah, you sent me the article, and I was confused. I was like, wait, what? Huh? I had to read the article. I was like, wait, what? I didn't know that there was a possibility for a new Supergirl. I was confused about why she would be in the Flash movie. I had a lot of questions, and I still have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm excited about having a movie version of Supergirl, and I think Sasha seems cool. But like, why start her out on the Flash? Like, what's going on in that movie?
I have some speculations, and we'll get into that. Of course, who knows if these speculations are right, but we'll get into them because I just have some brainstorming session kind of things to mention. But yeah, it was sort of like, I'm sorry, what is happening? So it was kind of crazy, and so the fact that like they've known, it just sort of blows my mind, the casting process, because they know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it shows up and everybody's like, what?
It was so sudden, like out of the blue.
Yeah.
Nobody knew to be looking for Supergirl casting news, which, like, respect on that. That's a big role that they were casting for. And the fact that they managed to keep it under their lids for that long, and they saw like almost 500 actresses, and that, I mean, I guess that's why none of them knew what they were reading for, because there's no way you're going to keep 500 people from being like, I was almost Supergirl.
half of them would talk. Maybe,
definitely.
Maybe 75% would talk.
I mean, I'm not judging. I would have definitely talked if I was in that.
Yeah, me too. I would have been like, guess what I did today?
Just what?
But yeah, so that was funny, and so it was interesting to see her response to all this. So I think there is an overlay for this. So Sasha posted to Instagram about the news saying, quote, "This still hasn't fully hit me. I'm starting to cry as I type this because I know it's me in the video." So she posted a video, and I think Andy, the director of the Flash movie, also, I think he maybe initially posted the video where he showed him talking to Sasha and telling her the news that she was being cast. So she says, I know it's me in the video, but I still can't believe it. And then she also wrote this little bit in Spanish, which I translated with like Google Translate. So I hope it's correct. She says, quote, a super Latina hero on which planet? Well, on this planet. What joy and pride. And she says, Mom, thank you for your effort, for raising me alone and with a lot of love. I love you with everything I have. You're an example of a superhero, unquote. So she said all of that in Spanish. And then she wrote this in English. She says, quote, Andy, this moment I met you through Zoom when we started this process. If it was as if I had known you my whole life, I felt the same way when I met Ezra. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you for believing in me. And thank you WB and DC Comics. Thank you to every person attached that has believed in me every step of the way. Thank you to my incredible team. I couldn't have done it without you. I love you deeply. And she ended with, dreams do come true, huh? And so that was a great little moment to see her sort of, take that in. I mean, that's a big deal for a young actress.
It's huge. And the director, Andy, he posted the video where he tells her that it's her and she's going to be Supergirl. And her reaction is just so genuine. Like, even if I had doubts about the actress, which I didn't because I've never seen her in anything, the way that she reacted made me think, oh my God, she's going to be great in this role, because it was like so genuine, so heartfelt, and you could tell it meant a lot to her. And I think that's it's really exciting for her. It's really exciting for us because it sounds like we're getting a really a Supergirl who's going to be really excited for the role.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to see her and get to know her, because I think she'll probably win a lot of people over just because she has that sort of likable personality. And I think you do see that in the video with Andy as he tells her the news. And
yeah, I feel like Melissa was kind of the same way when she got the role, and like you would see her before Supergirl premiered in like the costume with like a bunch of like little girls and stuff like that. She was just like, I'm Supergirl, and I feel like it was kind of the same energy where she was like, oh my God, like she understands why this is a big deal and she's excited about it.
And speaking of Melissa Benoist, how about that for a segue? Melissa welcomed Sasha to the DC universe on her Instagram stories. I believe there's also maybe.
Yeah, of course. There is. Here we go.
So Melissa welcomed her to the DC universe saying, quote, cannot wait to see you as Supergirl. The world needs as many Supergirls as it can get, unquote. So I thought that was really nice seeing Melissa sort of respond to the news, because I'm sure there were people out there, comparing Melissa to Sasha and, doing all that kind of nonsense, pitting them against each other, which is little silly in my opinion. So it was nice to see sort of that camaraderie between the Supergirls sort of recognizing each other. So I thought that was really, really neat. And I think in that overlay that we saw with Sasha and Andy, he's holding up the just because I love these movies and he's my favorite Superman. The suit that he's holding up with the S shield is actually Henry Cavill's Superman suit, and you could tell because there's in the middle of the S is Kryptonian. It's a Kryptonian script with a Joseph Campbell quote. So that's how you can tell it's specifically the Batman v Superman suit, because he didn't have the Kryptonian script on the Man of Steel suit. He had it on the Batman v Superman suit.
Oh, that's cool. I saw when he held up the suit, and I thought, wow, they've already got a suit. Like, she hasn't even gotten fitted. And then I was like, probably not hers.
no, it's definitely Henry Cavill's suit. So that, to me, I really appreciated that just because he is my favorite Superman. And then Sasha actually responded back to Melissa. So I was trying to keep up with all of the back and forths between the Supergirls because it was kind of happening very quickly. But Sasha did respond to Melissa's message saying, quote, "This means so much. My little brother and I have watched every episode. This was a sweet moment for us. Thank you, Red Heart," unquote. I
like the Supergirl Mutual Love Society that that sprung up after the announcement, where she was like, "I love you, no, I love you." And I was like, is there a more Supergirl way to react to that news than to be like, "No, she's great. No, she's great. Stop."
Yeah, so it was nice to see and to know that she has watched the show.
Yeah, I thought that was really exciting too. I was like, oh my gosh.
I held on to that a little bit because I was like, I wonder what Sasha thinks about season 5.
I wonder what Sasha's take on Hope is.
Could we get her on the podcast just to talk about season 4? Could we get her thoughts on that gun control episode? I really want to know.
We ask her about, like, she comes on the podcast, everyone's really excited. We just ask her about minor characters from Supergirl the TV show. We're like, "What's your take on Brian the alien? What's that scamp up to?" And she's like, "Why am I here?"
So that is good news. Good to know. Plug that away in your mind, Grace Morgan, that she has watched the show. And speaking of the Supergirl Love Society, Mutual Love Society, Laura Vandervoort also chimed in, who played, of course, Kara Kent on Smallville and Indigo on the CW Supergirl, who has amazing hand acting. She also tweeted to welcome Sasha to the Supergirl legacy, saying, quote, "Welcome to our now family of 4, unquote." And of course, the 4 that she mentions are the 4 live action Supergirls. Of course, the first one being Helen Slater, the second one being Laura Vandervoort, the third one being Melissa Benoist, and now number 4, Sasha Calle. So it was cool to see her chime in. Laura Vandervoort mentioned her. I believe the young actress on Supergirl who plays the young Kara also mentioned that. I didn't have time to get. I think I screenshotted it and I didn't have time to add it to the overlay, but I think it's is it somebody check me on the chat because I can't remember exactly. Is it Isabella? I think she chimed in and was excited about the news as well. So all the Supergirls very happy about this news.
The Legion of Supergirls, all of them.
Yes. So New Rachel says that Cameron Cuff and Brandon Routh also congratulated Sasha. Yeah. So everybody in the Kryptonian family very excited about this news. So it was good to see people sort of embracing her as she came into the Supergirl family. And I'm actually really bothered that I don't remember what that young Kara Danvers. So
I don't either.
I should know this. I'm like kicking myself that I don't know exactly what her name is. So I'm trying to Isabella Vidovich. Yes.
Ah, okay.
That's correct. I knew it was. I knew I was sort of right, but sort of wrong. So I just wanted to double check that and get that correct. So, yes. So Isabella Vidovich did mention Sasha Calle. So that was pretty cool as well. So okay. So I just want to kind of get your perspective, Morgan. So you have not seen Sasha in anything. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. I'll have to send you some love triangle clips.
Yes, definitely. I was when I saw that she was in a web series, I was like, maybe I'll look that up because that feels easier to look at or to watch than like The Young and the Restless, which is like, it'd be like, okay, you want to see her sit on it? It's a sit down. How many hours do you have?
Well, it's interesting with soap fans, and I think I've noticed this just within the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. Soap fans, especially if you're a fan of a couple, because this is how it always happens. Because soaps are built around love interests and power couples and things. There are a lot of soap opera fans who will start YouTube channels just to show clips of that couple, which is actually very helpful because if you're trying to track a like a character journey, it's just that person. So that's actually really helpful. I'll send you some.
I'm gonna look for the fan cams, the fan vids, where it's like a K-pop song and there's all sparkles and it's like her looking at what's his name? Kyle, her looking at Kyle looking at her, and I feel like I'll get like a pretty good pretty good feel for it.
Yeah, I think The Young and the Restless was trying to get you to root for Kyle and Lola instead of Kyle and Summer. But Summer sometimes is a little, I'm gonna be honest, she's a little bit of a brat sometimes.
Summer, girl.
It's because her mom is Phyllis, and I love Phyllis. Phyllis is one of my favorite characters. But Phyllis is a little bit of a hothead. So that's one of her big traits. So I think it got passed down through the genes. So I don't want to badmouth Phyllis. Really, Phyllis is like, she's the best. So anyway, so don't
respect on Phyllis.
Respect on Phyllis. Don't get me started on The Young and the Restless. We'll be here. This will become Young and the Restless Radio. So I need to stop talking about The Young and the Restless. But I'll send you some clips. I was really impressed with her. And if anybody is curious, in the video description, I put a link to this. There's an AMDA alumni profile video on Sasha. Talking about her going to school for acting and theater. And she talks a lot about how her education there helped her prepare her for The Young and the Restless, because soap operas, they shoot like 100 pages a day or something, and so that's very quick, and they have to do it in one, all scenes in one take. You don't have a lot of time to shoot soap operas, and she said that being able to memorize lines so quickly as she does was very helpful. So I was really impressed with her there, that she, as young as she was able to kind of jump into that soap world and kind of be able to keep up with them, because I just want to say soap operas get a bad rap, and I understand why they do, but it's really hard work, soap operas. Those actors have to do a lot in one day, and they have to memorize a lot of script. So if anybody is not thinking Sasha's up to the task of Supergirl because of her soap opera cred, I would say actually it's the opposite. I think her soap opera cred has prepared her for this moment. So that is my take on it. So if anybody wants to check that out, it is in the video description. So
yeah, they have to memorize like a huge amount of dialogue, and just like that.
Just to put it in perspective, I think 100 pages is like 3 episodes. So soap operas shoot 3 episodes in one day.
Oh my God.
Is how and 3 episodes is usually, for soap operas now with like all the commercials and stuff, it's usually somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. So it's not as quite as much as like an hour-long drama, like a 42-minute episode, but it's still a lot. That's 5 days a week shooting. So you're basically shooting 15 episodes per week.
Oh my God.
And to put that
I didn't know that was their schedule that they shot. I thought that they shot like 1 episode a day, kind of like it airs. I didn't know that they were shooting 3 episodes in a day.
No, they're usually like a month ahead, I think. So they have to really kind of keep up with that stuff. So it's a rigorous schedule for those people. That's why when they have to take vacations, the characters get put in comas. That's that's it happens, I swear.
Why don't they just have the character go on vacation? It's like, I know that we're in the middle of this really dramatic storyline, but I need to go to Cancun. Excuse me.
Fun fact, Lola, I think, was in a coma.
Somebody went on vacation.
So you usually know they either went on vacation or they're on their honeymoon or something. That's funny. That's when they get put in a coma. So if you see a soap opera in a coma, they need time off. So I just wanted to make everyone aware that soap operas are a lot of hard work, and even if you don't like them, appreciate them, is all I'm saying.
It's a lot of artistry that goes into soap operas. It's the churning of like this. They have to get stuff out every day. They don't have time to worry. We should all be more like soap operas. They don't have time to worry. Is this amazing? Is this perfect? Is it good enough to go on? We should all take the soap opera mindset sometimes when we're like, hold on, it's my masterpiece. I have to look at it 500 times. It's like, no, it's good enough to go out into the world. If she can memorize three episodes worth of dialogue in one day, then you can post your short story without workshopping it for 5 months.
So, a funny story about the fact that sometimes episodes will go on the air where it's like, I can tell this was your one take and that's all you had.
Everyone was on vacation that week.
There was an episode I remember of All My Children, and I can't remember what happened because they have court cases all the time on soap operas. Everybody is like framed for murder on soap operas all the time. And there was an episode of All My Children where Crystal was like having to walk out, and it was the character's name, Crystal.
Yeah.
She was walking out of the courtroom and she like tripped on a chair, and it was like a bad trip too. Like it was like a significant, like she like lunged forward a little bit, and I was like, all right, so I guess you just went with that take. Didn't want to try that one again.
They didn't want to do a second take. You feel like if they decided to do that, they would have like incorporated it into the storyline, but they were like, no, just leave it.
It was good enough. She got out of the scene. That's all that matters.
You know what? Everyone trips. It makes your character more human.
So that's how you know it's usually one take and done. So that's why when like drama and the acting is really good on soap operas, it makes me think that's a really good actor because they're able to do that in one take. So anyway, that is the soap opera Young the Restless background for the Supergirl episode.
Well, I bet that helped her nail her audition too, because she's like, oh, what? Like, it's just a couple of pages. It's not 100.
Yeah.
Wait, can I try it more than once? What is this? The Ritz? She's gonna get on that set and be like, all right, I'm done. I gave you my performance. And we're like, we do a couple more takes. Nope,
we got it.
I'm on and out. Bye. Supergirl out.
She's like, this is so luxurious. These multiple takes. So that is her background, at least from what I know of. But she does seem to have a lot of acting credit. She went to school for acting, and I don't know if Lola is still on. I assume that she's maybe been written out of the Young the Restless, but like I said, I haven't been up to date. So now I'm going to have to catch up on the Young the Restless to see what's happening and just to see what I missed out on because I've been meaning to. So this is going to give me the kick in the pants I need to get back into YNR.
I'm just rereading the description of her character, and I love that Kyle married Summer so that she would donate part of her liver to save Lola's life. What?
And she did it. Summer gave her what she needed, so Lola's life was saved.
It worked.
So it worked. It was
Kyle,
not. It was not a good love triangle. I don't remember what else was happening on the Young the Restless at that point, but I was like, can I fast forward this? Let me just get what I need out of this and then leave.
I don't know what's happening here with the livers and the donations, but we're getting out.
Yeah, so it was rough. That storyline was a little rough, but like I said, Sasha was very likable in it. Okay, so I guess we should talk about the Flash movie because that's where Supergirl is going to be showing up, even though none of us knew about it until very recently. I think it was on Friday, so that was just a few days ago. So the news in that Supergirl is in the Flash movie surprised everyone. None of the DC film fans I knew about had any idea this was happening. Like nobody knew. So I guess we should talk about what did we know about Supergirl in the DCEU before this casting news. So one of the things that we did hear before this was that on August 6, 2018, Deadline reported that Warner Brothers and DC were developing a feature film based around Supergirl, and Oren Uziel was working on the script, but not a lot more was being divulged at that point. Do you remember this news?
I very, very, very vaguely do. I kind of remember chatting with you about it and being like, oh, that's cool. But that's all. Like, I don't remember. I remember it kind of like blowing up my Twitter feed for like a day and then not hearing anything else about it after that.
Yeah, we did briefly mention it in one of the Supergirl Radio episodes because we were like, we don't know anything about this, but we're going to mention it in the news section because it's about Supergirl, but we don't know anything else. And then we never heard anything else about that movie. And so that, I don't know if it's still happening, but we didn't learn anything further.
So now I'm wondering, are they introducing her in The Flash and then they're going to give her her own movie? Kind of like, hey, get to know this character and then like launch pad her off into her Supergirl movie so that people are kind of like, oh, I know who that character is from this other movie.
I think that's very possible. And I'll talk about what I think maybe her role is. But I think with anything, if she becomes very popular out of it, if people seem to, if she's a crowd pleaser, they'll probably find a way to make it so that she has a vehicle on her own. So I think it's very possible we could see a Supergirl movie out of that.
Oh my gosh, that would be so exciting.
Yes. So hopefully all things go well. And
we would have so much news to talk about.
Yes.
All kinds of news.
Then we would have to follow all the pre-production and all the rumors. And that would be so fun to talk about. But yeah, so that was the first like movie news we had talked about. On May 31st, 2019, Forbes mentioned that Supergirl was tentatively expected to start production. So this movie that they sort of said was being developed
in the first quarter of 2020.
So they said it was supposed to start production in the first quarter of 2020. And the suspicion was that we'd hear casting information start to circulate within a few months. So that was just in 2019. So we didn't really hear anything after that.
I like that it says early 2020, most likely March or April, the best time to start anything in 2020.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. I'm wondering if like they had plans to like have a Supergirl movie and then COVID like pushed it out so far that they were like, what if we introduce her in The Flash and then we'll give her her movie?
That could be the case because I don't think they would have wanted to push the flashback anymore because they have pushed the flashback and pushed the flashback. So I think in their minds, if they were going to push a movie back, they probably would push Supergirl instead because they had to get that Flash movie out. So now the big question is, how does Sasha's Supergirl fit into the DCEU? And so We'll talk about some of the things that are connected to the DCEU and some of the things that are what we know about the Flash movie. My personal opinion is I think at this point Warner Brothers is stubbornly and stupidly, and I'm just saying this out of statistics about revenue and ways of earning money. I think they're trying to avoid any connection to Zack Snyder's take on the Superman mythology. So I personally highly doubt that they will reference Man of Steel and have any connection to Henry Cavill's Superman. I
think some of that might depend on how the Snyder Cut movie goes off on HBO Max. Like, I think if they see like a huge amount of like subscribers or streams or something like that, they might be like, hey, what about that? Because like they're really only going to what they think is popular. Like they don't they don't care otherwise, I don't think. So
well,
it's possible they could change their minds. They don't have a plan is the thing. So any plan is good in a storm.
They got rid of the guy who actually had a plan. And so now they're just kind of waffling around. The big distinction there, though, to make is between HBO Max and Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers is going to be introducing Supergirl, but HBO Max is the one in charge of the Snyder Cut. So HBO Max could develop, further films or TV shows, but Warner Brothers, I think they're so dead set on not doing anything with that. And I'm like, do you hate money? Is that the thing? Do you not like making money? I guess that's bad for you. But so the reason we bring up Man of Steel and the DCU is that some people assume that. So if you have listened to Supergirl Radio before, we've covered this on the podcast. And so we've talked about this comic. So there was a Man of Steel prequel comic when Man of Steel came out. It was like a digital version that was on the internet when you, I think it was related to the Walmart purchase of tickets. There was like a little deal that you could get a prequel. It was never available for like a print version. It was only digital.
Wow.
And so there was a Man of Steel prequel comic that was all about Kara Zor-El. It was all about Kara. And it's
as
sort of
everything should be.
As everything should be. And it was set in the world of Man of Steel on Krypton, though. She was on Krypton. She had a whole storyline on Krypton. And it insinuates, this is my reading of it, it insinuates that the open pod that you see in the film, so in Man of Steel, Clark goes to the scout ship, which is basically sort of the Fortress of Solitude, and he sees an open pod in the scout ship, and there's nobody there. It's open. Nobody's there. And some people assume that because of the comic that it's Kara. So Kara Zor-El, some people believe, including myself, believe that there is a Kara Zor-El somewhere within the Snyderverse, the DCEU, connected to Man of Steel. So, but there are some people who also assume that, and this has been reported as if it was news. I have some problems with this reading. We'll get to it. But some people assume that Zack Snyder rejected that speculation that Kara was the one who came out of the open pod of Man of Steel. But honestly, he never actually says this, which is why I'm like, why would you put this out in a news article? Because he never actually says this. So
the reason, Rebecca, is that they needed something to write about.
that's what it was. So I'll explain. So Zack Snyder commented on Vero, which is a social media platform. That's great. You should sign up for it. That the open pod was supposed to be something more. That's all he says. That doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't Supergirl's pod. That could mean it was supposed to be some future story, a future film. So I don't take that as like him poo-pooing the idea of Supergirl
in any way, really.
Yeah. So I'm like, is there context to this conversation that we are missing? Because I don't see that as him rejecting the idea of Supergirl at all. But maybe that's just my reading comprehension. So in the future, let's say if somehow we have Zack Snyder on the podcast, I would like to talk to him about this and maybe get a definitive answer. I don't know if he would share it.
We'd have some questions. I feel like the connection is even more real now with this casting news. Like, you should talk to us about Supergirl because she's there. She's in the movies now.
Yeah. So I have lots of questions if we ever get a chance to talk to him. So we'll have to check that out. But yeah, definitely look into the Man of Steel prequel comic if you've never read it. So Morgan, do you want to go into what we know about the Flash movie at this time?
Sure. The question about what we know at the Flash movie at this time, the answer for me is not much, but there is stuff out there for other people who've maybe been following it. The film's plot will introduce general audiences to the idea of the multiverse, which is one of the core concepts underpinning DC Comics. We know this because we just lived through Crisis, so we're all very familiar with the multiverse. We're all very confused by the multiverse.
Yes.
So this is going to include 2 Batmen. We're going to see Michael Keaton. We're going to see Ben Affleck. So I actually didn't realize that was happening. And all this that I'm speaking is news to me.
You didn't know about this?
I did not. Somehow I missed that Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck were going to be in this movie. It sounds really exciting. Now I'm really excited about it.
It's my 2 favorite Batmen in a movie together. And I'm just, it's going to just blow my mind. So that it's actually very exciting.
I want to get all the Batmen in the movie. Like, what's Clooney up to? What is Pattinson making like another weird handheld pasta dish? I think he could do it.
I think he could do it. He could get in there. Yeah, he's probably got some time after he cooks to just pop in there. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, but lots of Batman multiverse Flash stuff. So that's kind of the premise of what we know about the Flash movie so far.
So director Andy, I'm going to say Muschietti.
I heard some people say Muschietti.
Muschietti makes more sense.
Does that seem right?
It seems right, like based on the amount of like I's and T's.
If somebody in the chat knows how to pronounce that, phonetically spell it for us so that we know.
It seems Italian, so I feel like I should know how to say it, but that doesn't mean anything. That has never stopped me from mangling a name before. It won't stop it again. So he has been quoted as saying, Ben Affleck's Batman has a dichotomy that's very strong, which is his masculinity because of the way he looks and the imposing figure that he has and his jawline. But he's also very vulnerable. He knows how to deliver from the inside out that vulnerability. He just needs a story that allows him to bring that contrast, that balance. He's a very substantial part of the emotional impact of the movie. The interaction and relationship between Barry and Affleck's Wayne will bring an emotional level that we haven't seen before. It's Barry's movie, it's Barry's story, but their characters are more related than we think. They both lost their mothers to murder, and that's one of the emotional vessels of the movie. That's where the Affleck Batman kicks in.
So really, I just put that in the doc so we could all brag about Ben Affleck. That's all. No, we put that in there just to offer some context about Barry's story in the movie and kind of what's going to be happening in this one.
Yeah, because I was also wondering. I was like, well, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of Batman in this Flash movie. There's Batman, now there's Supergirl. Like, what's the Flash up to in this Flash movie? But no, I'm interested in, like, I like the way that they said that there's a connection between Batman and the Flash because of some of the similar things that they've been through, that which I wouldn't have honestly thought about, but it does make sense that they do have those things in common. So it's like, it's not completely taking away, because let's be honest, Batman is Batman, and so you throw Batman into a movie and Batman has a tendency to just take over a whole movie. We know this.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so my one critique of the DC movies, is that the WB did so well with those Batman movies, like all of them, always.
Like the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, I think even back to the Tim Burton movies did really well for them. And then the Dark Knight trilogy did super well for them, where everybody loved them. And so every single one of their superhero movies, they're always like, I love it. What if Batman was also in it? And you're like, does Batman make sense here? And they're like, shh, yes, he does. He does. And he's here. Here he is. Here's Batman. And you're like, but why is he in this? And so I feel like it's just kind of that continuation of, like, I feel like the WB is just kind of like in a dark room, just like touching things, trying to find what works. But the thing that they know always works is Batman. And so they're going to put Batman in everything.
It's not wrong.
It's like, listen, we all love Batman. Batman's great. We all love Batman for a reason. He's a great character. But, like, here's Batman, two Batmans in the Flash movie.
But what if there were two of them?
It's like, listen, I know we've put a lot of Batmans in different things. I know. But hear me out. What if there were two Batmen in the Flash movie? And they're like, two Batman, that's crazy. Just so crazy it might work. Like, I just want to be a fly on the wall. It's like, they're like, the only thing I feel like we have figured out is Batman. Throw him in that too.
I think we just walked into a pitch meeting is what we just did. So that's actually very true.
So according to Entertainment Weekly, the film will incorporate elements of the comics 2011 Flashpoint story, which explores a multiverse concept, allowing the speedy superhero to dive into an alternative timeline where several iconic DC heroes play very different roles. In the comics, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are at war, among other things. It's been previously reported that Michael Keaton would reprise his role as Bruce Wayne Batman, and Ben Affleck would as well. The most important thing is that it gets to your heart. Director Andy, how do we
I think we settled on Muschietti, but we're still playing with it. I think we're
still finding it in the moment. Muschietti. Director Andy Muschietti said, it's a time travel story, which is very exciting. He's someone who has the power of changing the events in the past, but in doing so can change the space-time continuum, which, if anybody has watched the CW version of The Flash, we know it's like, Barry, stop changing the timeline. Barry, we've talked to you about changing the timeline. Barry, look at, my kids are different. So it looks like the Barry in the movies has not learned this important and valuable lesson yet.
Oh man, the switching of Diggle's kid is like the most heinous thing.
So random.
It's so terrible. Like you
So
lost
bad.
the child. Like you no longer have that child anymore.
Your kid's just completely different.
Your
Sorry.
kids are totally interchangeable. No big deal. Oh man, that was the worst. It was the worst.
Yeah. So it looks like there's going to be some time travel, timey-wimey stuff in this one, which is fun or might be incomprehensible depending on how it lands. I mean, what Legends decided was like it was going to be really serious about time travel for a little while, and then it was like, nah. And now it's just kicking back, sipping a drink out of a coconut, shades on, probably sleeping. You don't know. It doesn't care about time travel anymore. What are the rules? There are no rules.
Yeah.
So we'll see where the Flash falls in that continuum between like the Flash TV show. Time travel is very, very important, and there are a lot of repercussions. And Legends of Tomorrow, time. Those are the two different levels that it could go to. So Ezra Miller, who portrays Barry, oh my God, what? This is the easiest name. I'm gonna take a moment. I'm gonna collect myself. Who portrays Barry Allen?
Make sure you
Holy
make sure you
moly.
say that one really slowly.
Barry Allen. Got it. Expanded on this topic, saying the film is immensely important because if you look around at the DC universe, you have all these characters who exist in their own bubbles. We also have multiple people playing the same characters. By opening that multiverse door, all of these stories and characters can start to collide. It blows our minds, the level of possibilities that exist with this character and this story. Huh. Okay. That's interesting. Well, I've always kind of liked the multiverse theory because I think it means that like some of the things can be more independent and not everything has to interlock so closely, which means that different things can have their own like stories and their own vibes without being like, wait, why didn't Superman show up when the world was about to end? And you're like, Superman was on vacation taking his kids to go look at colleges. Like, he was? Superman's on Argo. He's reconnecting with his people. Really? Well, okay.
Yeah. You can skirt around some of those problems.
Superman's boots were there. Did you see them? They just passed. So I feel like to me, the multiverse kind of allows it to be like, oh, he's in a different universe. It's cool. He's chilling.
Okay, here's part 1 of 2 speculations about how Supergirl fits in with this movie. So, talking about the multiverse and time travel, I'm wondering if Supergirl is going to be from another Earth. Because of my prior thoughts that they don't want to have anything to do with Zack Snyder, because WB is, how can I say this politely?
I mean, I just went on a whole rant about how they want Batman and everything, and they don't know they don't know what they're doing. So I don't feel like it can be worse than what I just said about them.
They don't want to. I get the feeling that WB doesn't want to have anything to do with the Snyderverse. They don't want to revisit that. They seem to not want to do anything with Henry Cavill. So why would they drop Supergirl in there if she's connected to the Snyderverse? So the only way, in my opinion, the way for them to get around that is to say, oh, this is Supergirl from another Earth, not connected to that story in any way. And then you could bring in the multiverse with that and have her be someone he meets on another Earth. Kind of like Supergirl season 1, where Kara and Barry connected and they were not on the same Earth.
Interesting.
That's
So
my
she's gonna be
speculation at the moment.
So you think she'll be in like her own little like universe that's separate from all the other DC properties kind of floating around? Honestly, I wouldn't hate that because it means that if she has her own movie in the future, it can be just about her and Batman doesn't show up in it at any point. Mark my words, that if she gets her solo movie, Batman is going to emerge from the shadows at some point.
He's going to be like, do you need me?
just behind her, like, hey, I'm still here. It's me, Batman. It's like, Batman, I've talked to you about this. Boundaries, Batman.
Rachel does have a question. Do you think she'll still be named Kara? Oh, I would assume so. Even if she was on a different Earth, I would be. Ooh, but that's
Do you think
That's
it'll be the
interesting, though, 'cause
Kara
she-
pronunciation, or do you think it'll be the Kara pronunciation? Because Smallville did Kara, right?
Smallville and Superman, the animated series, and then Justice League Unlimited did Kara. Kara was only done in Supergirl the movie and the CW Supergirl. That's an interesting question though, because she could just be Linda. She could she could just be Linda Danvers or Linda Lee.
What if she flips back and forth with the hair color? Maybe like that's why nobody recognizes her. She's like, hold on. It's me, Linda Lee. I'm a brunette.
Yeah, I think they'll be pulling more from the CW verse than they from the Arrowverse than they will from the Helen Slater film. But that would be hilarious if they sort of went back into the Linda Lee of it all. But that's a good question. We don't know. We just know there's Supergirl in it. But I would love it if she went by Kara. I think if she is talking to somebody as a Kryptonian, she would refer to herself as Kara.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense.
Yeah, so that's just kind of my speculation with the multiverse door opening, because they would have to show that they're. I mean, I guess they've got the Batman to show the multiverse, but that was just something that I thought about.
Yeah, I think if that's the way that they're going with it, which is what it sounds like, I think that does open it up. If she's in a different universe, then that kind of opens it up for her if and when she gets her own movie, for it to be kind of its own thing. It doesn't have to rely on any of the other movies, which is kind of nice, I think, in my opinion. It's kind of nice. Yeah,
I mean, I would love it if she was Henry Cavill's cousin.
Oh, I would love it if Henry Cavill popped up in those movies. That'd be awesome.
I don't know if you can tell. I've got my Henry Cavill Supergirl shirt on. But I think from WB's perspective, they wouldn't want that. And it does creatively open it up that they can tell her story apart from all that other previously told story in the films.
So I'm not as up to date on what's going on with the W, besides them loving Batman, but what's going on with the WB. Is Henry Cavill still Superman, or is he kind of like flown away from that?
No, nobody knows. He would still do it in a heartbeat. But it doesn't sound like they have any plans to do any future Superman films.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Because I feel like Henry Cavill has actually only gotten like bigger since the Superman. I was going to say hotter, which is also true. It is also true, but I feel like he's only gotten like more popular.
Yeah.
What with The Witcher really taking off and everything like that. Like I feel like people really like him now. I feel like people would be really more likely to go see a Superman movie with Henry Cavill.
Which is why I think they hate money. I think they hate making money, which is strange for a movie studio. I mean, I don't know. That's how it comes across to me, is that they hate making money. And also I think it's a little bit of pride, but that's a whole story for another time.
Toss a coin to Henry Cavill, please. OWB of plenty.
Yeah, so I think they should. But that if it was my movie studio, you would have so many more Henry Cavill movies, because that means more Amy Adams, Lois Lane. So that also would be nice. But
and who doesn't love Amy Adams, and who doesn't love Lois Lane? The two perfect things, perfect together.
Yes, I don't understand who would not love that. Everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion, but I think that from WB's perspective, they want to keep those things separate, and it does creatively open it up to do your own thing. So I don't know. I hope she's connected to Henry Cavill, but I'm not. I have low expectations for that. So the other thing that I was sort of thinking about with Supergirl and the DCEU was something that is sort of connected to Ray Fisher. So on January 13th, 2021, which was not that long ago, Ray Fisher
feels like it.
It does. Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in I'm just going to say Zack Snyder's Justice League. He also played him in the Justice League version, but we don't talk about that. We're not talking about that version. But he played Cyborg in the DCEU, and he tweeted out confirmation that Cyborg was removed from the Flash movie. So at one point he was in the Flash movie, but he's now since been removed. And that was just recently. According to Ray Fisher, Cyborg's role was supposed to be much larger than a cameo. So he was apparently going to have a significant role in the Flash movie with Barry, because in the Justice League version of Justice League, Cyborg and Barry kind of became friends. I don't know if that's going to be the same thing in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but you could kind of see that maybe they would play up their friendship in the Flash movie. And so when I learned that, and then when I heard this Supergirl news, I'm starting to wonder if Supergirl is going to replace the Cyborg role in the Flash movie. Because if he was originally supposed to be there and that whole role was taken out, they would need to put somebody in there.
Yeah, they would need to rework it.
And so if you're WB, you would be like, who is a friend to Barry Allen, the Flash? Oh yeah, they're like super friends.
Super friend.
they're super friends on the Arrowverse.
They've got that whole song. Everybody loved that song.
They danced and everything. It was great.
They got ice cream. Everyone loves them.
So that's my like conspiracy theory, like throwing things at the wall, seeing what happens. But I sort of like am connecting these dots that like they're doing the multiverse. They threw out Cyborg from the movie, and I assume needed a role to fill for maybe Barry having a friend. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of where my head is at the moment.
No, that's interesting. That could totally be. I think that's very likely that's, and because we only just got the Supergirl casting news like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
At the end of February. Curious.
Yeah.
Almost as if they hadn't planned for her at all initially. Just threw her in.
I'm just saying it seems a little suspicious to me that this is all and maybe the casting, I don't know if the casting had been going on a long time. It could be that they were casting Supergirl way before January 2020.
Yeah, it's true.
So who knows?
Do we know when they start filming the Flash movie?
It's supposed to be like happening, I think, now.
Oh wow.
I think it's it's in March. Like it's coming up.
Oh, okay.
I think they're in it. Let's see. Claudia has a question. Do you think that the studio would try to make the Flash and Supergirl romantic? Oh boy, I sure hope not.
I don't think. I mean, don't they have an Iris cast for the movie?
That's the thing. That Iris is in the Snyderverse.
Oh.
So
but where's gotta be Iris.
Well, I mean, I would put Iris in there, but I don't even know if Iris is in the Flash movie.
That feels strange and wrong to me.
I agree. So I don't know. I hope not. I hope they're just super friends. I hope they're just buddies. Like I hope Supergirl is just trying to help him with the multiverse stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to see Supergirl's first appearance be like tied to some dude. Like I don't want to see her as a love interest in her first appearance. She can have love interest later on, but like I don't want her like primary reason to in the movie to be as a love interest. That would bum me out hard.
Yeah, I agree. I hope she just is her own character doing her own thing. So that's my hope and wish for the movie as well, because I think Supergirl is a character, like I think people know there is a Supergirl, but I think a large segment of the population don't really know much about her, even with the TV show. I mean, it's not like everybody in the world watches the TV show.
Yeah, it's true.
So this is maybe some people's first introduction to Supergirl. So I hope that her first appearance is a good one that really does justice to her character.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot bigger platform for Supergirl, the character, than, the show. The show has been, just because not a lot of people are going to commit to watching a television show, multiple seasons. But a lot of people go see superhero movies, and like they're pretty mainstream now. So I think a lot of people will go see The Flash and be like, oh, Supergirl's cool. So that's why I want her to be really cool and not just like, ooh, look at her, she's cute. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, let's have a little bit of substance to that.
Exactly.
But that does raise the question: will there be movie screenings of this at the time it comes out? I'll probably, I mean, just from my experience with Wonder Woman 1984, like in the future, regardless of COVID, I'm only seeing private screenings. Like that's I'm only
Dude,
doing.
if I'm vaccinated in any form and like I can rent out a theater, that sounds like the dream. I don't want to have to go see movies with strangers anymore. No, just me and my crew.
Yeah. So regardless of COVID, when the movie comes out, if it gets released in theaters, I'm scheduling a private screening and going to see it. So that's how things are going with me. But most people might watch it on HBO Max. Like I don't know how that's going to be released. So I don't know if that will change anything.
Do they have any like general release date in the future that they're thinking of for Flash? Because I know they haven't. You said they haven't even started filming. So
I imagine it will take a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, wow. You think it'll be like 2023?
I mean, most big movies like this take a long time with effects, and it usually takes like 6 months to shoot, and then you have another at least 6 to 8 months of post-production. And I mean, they could fast track it, but I'm betting 2023.
Oh, wow.
That's what I think.
Well, hopefully we would be able to see it. Fingers crossed, everything crossed in 2023. Hopefully,
toes, eyes, fingers.
Hopefully, theaters still exist then, and we won't have to watch it on HBO Max on our couch.
Yeah, because you've got the Flash, you've got Supergirl, and you've got 2 Batmen. And then you've got probably time travel in the multiverse.
Yeah.
I imagine there's some effects that are
There's going to be happening. A couple of effects, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to see that on a big screen, like the biggest screen possible.
Yeah, not on my TV screen or my little tiny iPhone screen. No, thank you. I guess we should get to a question that seems a little controversial. Samwise asks, do you think Sasha will be blonde like Melissa or keep the hair as is?
Huh.
I just want to remind people, first of all, when Melissa Benoist was cast as Supergirl, she did not have blonde hair.
That's right.
If people remember that. She was still a brunette at the time.
She looks so good as a blonde.
She does, though. And I think it's because they didn't go all in to the blonde. Like, she's not platinum.
Which is, that's a hard look for most people who aren't blonde to pull off. It's like, I don't feel like that's real. Yeah, her blonde looks very natural.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think that she needs to be blonde to be Supergirl. I don't feel like that's a prerequisite to me for the character. But I mean, if they want to do her hair blonde, I think she'll look good with it. I just don't think it's like specifically necessary.
I personally like just to be able to, recognize the character, and especially since like it's a big screen adaptation, it would be cool if she was blonde. But I'm like you, like if they chose to go another route, I would be interested in seeing what they did with it. And I think the personality and the characterization, I think, is more important to me than her hair color. Although I do like my comic book heroes on the screen to look, at least make an effort, like, make some kind of effort to make them look like the character from the comics or from, what I know of them. But I also think that, it doesn't necessarily have to happen. They could make her hair a little bit more blonde, like Melissa. Like
they can make it like lighter. Yeah.
Yeah. Melissa's hair is a little bit more of like a dirty blonde, almost like more brown, actually. So it doesn't have to go like full blonde. So they could kind of play with that.
Yeah, they could like lighten it up from like her hair is kind of like probably darker than mine even. It's like dark brunette.
Yeah.
So they could just lighten it up a bit.
Yeah, and and if she is a Supergirl from another Earth, if that speculation of mine comes true, which probably won't, but if she is from another Earth, who says that Supergirl?
All bets are off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm good either way. I don't really care as long as they nail the character and like her personality. If I can see how she acts and like it feels like Supergirl to me, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that to me, I'd like, yes, Supergirl is blonde in the comics and most of the TV adaptations, but I don't feel like blondness is an integral part of her character. It's not like, it's like, oh, we wouldn't recognize Supergirl if she wasn't blonde. It's like not something that's baked into the character. So I could kind of go either way on the hair color.
Well, and there is the question of, even if she did retain her dark brown hair, her brunette look, would she have to wear a blonde wig for Supergirl? Because that sometimes Supergirl in the comics does have wig stuff that happens. Sometimes she
That's true.
I think in Rebirth she like could her hair color changed with the glasses.
Was connected to the glasses for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did away with that really fast too. Like most of the things in Rebirth. But but yeah, my only comment for this is that wig would have to be working it. It's a big screen. You're going to see everything. That wig's got to be working it. It can't look like something out of the Oliver Queen would wear on his head, okay? We can't
it cannot be wiggy. It has to only be, I mean, you have to be 100% working it to make that pop. So yeah, I mean, I think the hair stuff, like, there are a lot of ways to go about that. But I definitely think that the personality is more important in this situation. Now, I guess we could talk about suit choices. Like, what do you think she's going to get skirts, or do you think she's going to get pants? I don't know.
I don't know. Because we've seen both versions. I personally think that the skirt version is cuter, and that's how I'd base all of my decisions. Is it cute fashionly?
I like the skirt just because that's just, to me, that's Supergirl. But I think you could, and it also, I guess, is she connected to Henry Cavill's Superman? That might make a difference, because the whole situation on Krypton was that the Superman suit is Kryptonian clothes. It's actually, a lot of people like make jokes because when you watch Man of Steel, like the Superman suit is actually like something they wear underneath the rest of their clothes. So he's basically, some people say he's like wearing his underwear, which is funny because like the old joke about the red trunks is that he's wearing his underwear on the outside of his pants. But yeah, so if she is connected to the DCEU, they would have to tie it to the Kryptonian culture and the clothing that they wore. But if they choose to go a different route, they can do whatever they want to. So I don't know. It just, we don't know like what story they're telling. We don't know what kind of Supergirl this is. So who knows? I would probably be fine either way.
Both are good looks. Good looks.
I mean, if it was my preference and I was making the movie, I'd probably have the skirt, but not my movie. So
we shall see.
So we'll see what happens. And especially, again, if the multiverse thing happens, all bets are off. She can look any way that she wants.
Well, the thing is, we'll probably know about the suit way before we know about anything else, because I'm sure there's going to be like paparazzi pictures of her like going to set in her outfit, probably. So
yeah, usually what they do is if she is going to be shooting outdoors, they will put out a picture before that happens. So that your first visual of the suit is like a polished photo shoot.
Isn't her like holding a Starbucks coffee mug?
Yeah. So if she does shoot outdoors, we'll get an image of her. But I think that it's tough. Will they show her at all? Will they? I guess they will. I guess she'll be a selling point, like Wonder Woman was for Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I heard that Wonder Woman was going to be in that movie, I was really excited, and we saw a lot of stuff that come out about Wonder Woman and all the Amazons and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that they're going to promote her. I think we're already seeing it begin right now with like them releasing, the video of the director telling her that she's Supergirl and stuff like that. Stuff like that would have to go through probably like the PR department or like the promotional department. Yeah, like he's just not doing. He's just like, no, I'm gonna like upload a video. Like you could tell that happened right after the announcement of her casting, and there was like almost kind of a concentrated PR push to talk about her as Supergirl. So I think that they're gonna be promoting her.
Yeah, I think she'll be a way to sell the movie to people. Just to throw out some more like what is it, like string theory? conspiracy theory. Some people were pointing out that the day this news dropped, earlier in the day, the news came out that Zack Snyder's Justice League would get a global distribution. And then not too long after that, WB released, hey, Supergirl's going to be in our Flash movie. And so it was like, are they trying to take attention away from Zack Snyder's Justice League? So I'm over here like...
Or maybe they're trying to like ride the coattails. Maybe they're like, be excited about this too. Remember the Flash?
Remember
like,
that Flash movie that we were going to make like
we've
several
been
years ago?
Promising it. It's real.
So I'm just tinfoil hat on the head, ready to go. So I just thought it was funny and wanted to mention it. So I think that's kind of all that we know at this time about the Flash movie and about what we know about Supergirl.
And I just realized that we've been talking about the Supergirl, and I didn't mention, but it's super cool that they picked a Latina actress to play Supergirl, which is kind of taking the character in a different direction. I think that's really neat and like really cool for representation. All these little girls who are gonna be able to see her as Supergirl and kind of see themselves. Like we saw what happened when Melissa was, when she was cast and she was with all the little girls and they were all so excited. And I think we're gonna see, even more little girls being excited that like there's a Supergirl that looks like them.
Yeah, I think the the visual of it is cool, and I think having that the creativity of the casting I think is smart. I always appreciate it when people cast outside the box.
Yeah, me too.
Just because it's like, oh, you put some thought into this, because I know casting decisions for the DCEU films have always been pretty controversial, and I usually I just wait it out because I know that the director knows the story. The director and the casting director, they know what they're trying to do. We don't. Like, people get mad about Ben Affleck as Batman or Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Everybody loves her now. But when that casting news came out, nobody loved her. And I was like, I'm going to see where this goes.
Let's wait it out.
I'm gonna see what happens. And I'm glad I did. I enjoy her very much. She is Wonder Woman. So I think there's something about her performance and something about her reading with Ezra that really clicked with the people who are making this movie. And so that to me signals that for what they're going for, she's the right choice. And so I think I don't know if the Latina aspect of it will come out in the character at all, because she's not really Latina. She's Kryptonian.
She's Kryptonian. Yeah.
So that, I think it's cool just for, representation purposes, but I don't think that's actually technically it wouldn't play into the character because she's technically from Krypton.
Yeah, she's from space.
She is an alien. But I think the thing about Krypton is I don't think they have to all look the same way. I mean, like Krypton on Sci-Fi, there were all kinds of ethnicities playing Kryptonians. So that doesn't really matter. So I like the idea that they were casting outside the box. So I think
I like the idea that they looked at so many different actresses, like almost 500 actresses. So that there was something about her performance that really made them like stand up and go, whoa. Because I'm sure that they, I'm saying this with no knowledge, but I'm sure that they probably looked at people who might have also been some names, who have been, have maybe more credits to their name, but Sasha did something that really impressed them.
Yeah. And I always try to remember that because like one of the cool stories, especially about the DC films, is the reason Gal Gadot was hired was because she did a chemistry reading with Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck was like, whoa. She was good. And so you sort of see that in Batman v Superman when Bruce and Diana have that scene together where she's sort of wearing that silver kind of sparkly dress at the gala, and she's holding her own with Bruce Wayne there. And so like those are the kind of things that directors and casting directors see that we don't see because they're doing it behind closed doors or whatever. And so they have a reason for why they're casting those people.
And chemistry is so important. I'm like not going to name any names, but you've definitely watched stuff where you're like, did they do a chemistry read before they cast this? It's like sometimes you've got two good actors who you like together, but there's nothing going on in the middle of that. So the fact that the chemistry reads were so important, I think makes me feel good about, how she's going to mesh overall in the film.
I mean, we're not going to mention any names, even though we've talked about those things on Supergirl Radio at great length.
Sure. No.
but you maybe can go back in our past episodes and hear discussions about that. But yeah, so I'm glad for people if that's something important to them, that they see somebody and see themselves in a character. But I think it's also just a great thing in terms of acting that she won the part. So that's great. So yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait it out at this point to see what happens.
It's going to be a while.
So we may lose a Supergirl, and then when season 6 finishes, whenever that airs,
it's like a take a penny, leave a penny. We lost a Supergirl. We gained a Supergirl.
So just Supergirl continues. So it's funny. Like, I think we're all kind of, or I can't speak for everybody. I should just say I am very attached to Melissa Benoist's Supergirl. I think she knocked it out of the park. That's why I get so upset when she doesn't have enough screen time, because I'm like, no, she's so good. Use her more. So I'll be sad to see her go, but it's nice to know that the character is going to continue. I'm excited that more than anything, it's an actress from my favorite soap opera. That makes me so happy to have that special connection with Supergirl, that we're both people who care about what goes on in Genoa City. That makes me happy. So it's kind of bittersweet. So but I guess we'll get to the new Supergirl when we start hearing more about her.
Yeah, and I was like, when I heard the news, I was like, oh, that's nice. I feel like if they did it specifically so our podcast could have some more content in the future. They were like, listen, I know that the show about her is ending, but she's going to be in a movie. I was like, yes.
We will have more Supergirl to talk about, so that's very exciting. So we'll get to some more news when we get it, but that's all we got right now. So far we have a movie to look forward to and a final season of the TV show, neither of which we know when we can watch them.
It's exciting. I'm seeing in the chat, Rachel mentions, will this new Supergirl have a civilian career as a soap opera actress? Because as Rachel just reminded me, in the comics, she's briefly a soap opera actress, isn't she?
She is. I believe her character's name is Margot Hatton on the TV show. I believe it's Secret Hearts, maybe Sacred Hearts, Secret Hearts. I believe it was in the Superman family issues. And she was an actress on a soap opera. So Supergirl has soap opera ties. So I'm just saying, like, lean into it.
Yeah.
Just go all the way. Just use what Sasha knows. Like, just put it in the script. Oh my gosh, that would make me so happy. Oh my gosh. That would be the best. But we'll have to see what they do with her. I'm very curious about all of this now. Because nobody saw this coming.
No, this is completely out of left field.
But it's exciting, so that's great.
Good news. We have a new Supergirl.
Imagine if it was bad news. I don't think I could take more of that.
No more, please.
We've had to deal with bad Supergirl news, like her show being canceled on her birthday.
On her birthday.
So I'm glad this time around it was good news.
The WB just doesn't care. Is the thing. The WB is just cold-blooded.
Just cutthroat. So that's good. So we've got things to look forward to. Well, I guess that's going to wrap our discussion about, unless we have any other comments before we wrap up.
From Claudia, I believe. It says, if Supergirl gets a movie, do you think it will have Alina Luthor in it? That would be awesome. and I'm just saying it now. Listen, I know you're going to want to differentiate yourself from the television show, and I understand that. I get that. But Katie McGraw will come back. And to differentiate from the TV show, just let her have her natural accent. She comes back, clavicles out. Not without an American accent. Different character.
Yeah, I imagine that they will try to ride on the coattails of the TV show. That's kind of what I think. So I don't know.
They should pick the best parts of the TV show and then, like, leave the rest.
Maybe have a Lena and an Alex, and then just push everything else out. We're not talking about that. Yeah. So, that's. I hope that we maybe see Lena on the big screen. Yeah. Nicole says, "Give the people what they want." So I hope that maybe Lena gets some screen time in the future.
I see Emma in the comments says, "Give Lena her own movie." I mean, I would actually go see that movie. That movie would be wild.
What would Lena do in that movie? It would just be like getting drunk and taking a gun out. And
I feel like it would be about like science and corporate espionage, but she would like accidentally make a science experiment that like comes alive and becomes sentient, and then she has to like fix her mistakes. It's the story I've been pitching is the Lena movie. Basically, is that Hope comes alive, and then Hope turns against her. and then Hope is Skynet, and Lena is the only one who can save us from Terminators.
That's always how season 5 should have ended. Hope should have been the big bad. I don't know.
I feel like it was like Chekhov's robot, and we never got the payoff.
So disappointing. But yeah, so Nicole also says Alex needs to be in every iteration henceforth. That's my opinion as well. I think they really added something with the Alex Danvers character. And it's been disappointing to not to see Alex in the comics.
I agree. I think Alex is, to me at least, watching the show, Alex is like part of the Supergirl story now. And like when I go and read something else, I'm like, where is her sister?
Yeah. It adds a lot to the character and her story. And so I hope that we get to see more of Alex Danvers in the future.
I see that Melody has a title for my fictional Lena movie. It's called Clavicle City. I think that movie would sell. I think that people would go see that.
The title sells itself.
It does.
Yeah, no, I would definitely go see that. So let's hope good things for Lena Luthor on the big screen. I think
nothing but good things for Lena Luthor. Big screen Lena Luthor
on the silver screen. Let's hope that happens. Well, I don't know if we want to scan any of the other comments since we were talking.
Yeah, see if there's anything else. Any other questions for us?
This has nothing to do with the movie news, but Nicole is Morgan wearing a Supergirl?
It is a hoodie. It's a hoodie, not a onesie. So, but it was like they did a Hot Topic thing for the DC shows like a long time ago. Not that long ago, but it's like a long time ago. I think it was like 2 years ago. But they had they had this, and then I think they had like a jacket for White Canary that I got. It was basically just an invitation to take my money personally.
I think they also maybe had a Green Arrow one.
I should have like written this off on my taxes. Like I need it to buy this. You don't understand, Mr. Government. I do a Supergirl podcast.
Yeah, they did have several jackets, and I never got one. And I'm like,
I think they had like a Green Arrow one, and they had like a Flash one.
I think they did have a Flash one.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer. I never got one.
But the Supergirl hoodie's like, it's very comfortable. It's just it's cash. It's very cash. It goes nice with everything.
It's nice because it does have the, it's not a Superman issue. It's the Supergirl.
Yeah, it's the Supergirl one.
Yeah, so that's nice.
We gotta hold it down for our girl.
Yeah, I'll see. Trying to see if we have any before we wrap up. But yeah, so if you have any questions, just let us know. Okay, so I guess we should tease again what we're doing next week on the live stream. So I believe that's March 2nd. So 1 week from tonight, when you're watching this and when you're listening to it later, it'll be the following Tuesday. We are going to be doing a Superman and Lois pilot pod. So Morgan, will you explain to people who don't listen to the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, even though they definitely should, even if you don't watch the show, what is a pilot pod?
So in a pilot pod, we look at pilots and we ask ourselves questions about them. Like, is it a good pilot? Is it a good introduction to the television show? Does it make us want to watch the next episode? Is it very piloty? Like, is it full of exposition dialogue that no human being has ever spoken before? So on Legends, we've looked at a couple of like big TV shows that everybody has known or has heard about or watched. We've done pilot pods for Lost and The Sopranos. So like classics, but we've also done pilot pods during our spooky season. We did a pilot pod for The Following, which was very piloty. it was like, do you remember 3 years ago when we had this conversation? Then they like look over and there's like, and there's like a flashback. And then we did a pilot pod for The Haunting of Hill House, which is a Netflix show, which is, you know, the Netflix shows are very different in that a lot of them are conceived with the idea of being binged. So then we were looking at like in this like post-binge universe, like what does a pilot look like versus what did a pilot for a network television show look like? So on our pilot pods, we're basically just looking at the pilot as a whole and seeing like, is it good? Does it make us does it introduce us to the characters? Do we like the characters? Does it make us want to watch the next episode? So we're going to kind of, I guess, take the same approach to Superman and Lois. I love that we're technically going to be airing this against Superman and Lois, continuing our rivalry. Don't watch episode 2. Do watch us talk about episode 1.
It was our time slot first.
How dare you?
Get out.
This is part of our larger blood feud with Superman.
It took Leslie Laura and now this.
How dare you? So that is, I looked at my calendar. That is March 2nd. So that's next week at 9.
Yeah, so join us for that, and definitely watch the Superman and Lois pilot before you come and join us for the pilot pod, and we'll talk about what we thought about it, because I think they're having a big 2-hour special presentation tonight while we're speaking. So thank you to everybody who chose to join us. We appreciate you spending your time.
I mean,
you had other options, and you chose to spend with us.
I don't want to trash talk Superman and Lois, but like we're live. Are they doing it live, like a stage production? No, you can watch that later.
Again, we're very excited about the show.
We're excited about the show.
We hope it's great. We hope it's great.
All the best.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And so there's also some very exciting. Morgan, you don't know about this yet. So I thought we could talk about this. So before we get out of here on this live stream tonight, we need to announce the winners of our DC TV Podcast Plugs contest. So we had some submissions that came in, and the ones we are going to go with are from New Rachel and Madeline. Ooh. So I thought we could play them. Morgan has not heard these yet.
I haven't.
And so I'm wondering what your takes are.
I'm so excited.
So we'll be interchanging these each episode, and these will be our plugs from now until they add new shows or remove shows, and we have to
be in like a month.
So when we have to remove or add any shows from the schedule, we will have a new plugs contest. But for now, these are going to be our plugs for the foreseeable future. So let's hear Rachel's first, and then we'll get to Madeline, and hope you guys like them.
Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network. So if you also like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, Doom Patrol, Batwoman, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and the upcoming Green Lantern, Justice League Dark, and Strange Adventure shows, and DC TV After Dark, you can subscribe to the DC TV Podcast Mega Feed on Apple Podcasts. Follow at DC TV Podcasts on Twitter, and like DC TV Podcasts on Facebook, or else. This has been a message from Hope, inhabiting the Flash Vessel, also known as New Rachel.
Hope, is that you? Wow, that was a really good Hope the Robot. That was very epic. Even I don't think I could do that many, like, that many things at once in the Hope voice. It's hard to maintain.
You have to take some commitment to really get through that. And the flesh vessel at the end,
The flesh vessel is what got me.
that really just it was like the icing on the cake for me on that. So that's new Rachel.
Amazing new Rachel, A+ quality.
So you'll hear more from Hope. I'm so glad we have Hope as a recurring part of our podcast moving forward.
Hope is always part of this podcast in some way.
She's like a third host, really, is what the deal is with Hope. Okay,
Hope is like, keep me alive.
Never let me die. Okay, so we'll hear Madeline's, and like I said, we'll interchange these each episode.
Supergirl Radio, Superman and Lois Radio, The Flash Podcast, and Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, Black Lightning Podcast, Batwoman Podcast 2, and Titans and Doom Patrol Podcast just for you. Justice League Dark Podcast, Green Lantern Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Strange Adventures Podcast, and finally my favorite of the bunch, DC TV After Dark, where you're allowed to say fuck.
Oh my god, that was a legit song. The DC After Dark one was so good.
Yeah.
And then the way that, oh my god, that was incredible. Wow.
Yeah, because DC TV After Dark, you can
cuss there.
You can say words that we might not say on Supergirl Radio.
We're gonna beep you here. This is a family show.
So that is Madeline's submission. So we will be sending you all some things in the mail. I've got some goodies to send everybody. So just be in touch for that. So thank you for participating in the plugs contest. It really helps. I know it helps Morgan out.
It really does. I mean, in a really real way, you do it for me. It's not really for this podcast. It's for me because I don't want to read them.
So that way we can still plug the podcast on the network, but Morgan doesn't have to do it.
Oh, it's such a relief, you guys. It's such a relief. Not only are our listeners very talented, but they're so kind.
They're just really looking out for Morgan, which is very nice. So thank you for y'all's hard work and your creativity to contribute to the podcast. All right. Well, I guess we should get to our personal plugs. You can find me on Instagram at The Derby Kid. You can also find me on YouTube at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I'm sure I have videos that I need to make. There's lots of things swirling around in my head. I know there was a big Snyder Cut article that came out in Vanity Fair that I wanted to.
I was going to ask you if you read that.
Lots of stuff I didn't know.
So I saved it to my little Pocket app, which is an app where I can go back and read articles later, especially if they're long. And I was like, I'm gonna read that later. I bet there's lots of gossip because the thing that I love most is gossip.
Yeah, there was a lot revealed there story wise. I don't want to spoil anybody. So go check out the Vanity Fair article. We can link it in the chat if you needed to find that. I don't know if I guess we can put it in the show notes after this is over, just since we talked about it. But yeah, some stuff I was like, oh, okay. My favorite thing though is that when Joss Whedon came in and butchered Zack Snyder's movie, Chris Nolan and Zack Snyder's wife were both like, you can never watch that. Like Christopher Nolan was like, you are never allowed to watch what they put out in the theater. And
they just slowly take it out of his hands. They're like, no, don't.
To this day, Zack Snyder has never seen that version of the film.
That's hilarious.
People contact him on Vero and they're like, what is that thing about the Russian family? And he was like, what Russian family? What are you talking about? So that was my favorite thing. You've got good people in your life who are like, we're not going to let you.
Don't hurt yourself this way.
So I think I always sort of suspected that was the case. They were like, we're shielding you from this.
Don't do it to yourself.
But to know that was actually, I always figured his wife Deborah would not let him watch it. But to know Christopher Nolan was like,
That's so funny.
dude, stay away from this. Like that makes
I don't think
me
I realized that he and Christopher Nolan like knew each other at all, which is so funny. I mean, of course they do. I bet like a bunch of people that you wouldn't expect to know each other pretty well.
Well, when Chris Nolan was so he and David Goyer, this became Zack Snyder Radio. We're gonna do a spinoff podcast on it. But the story goes that while they were working, while Christopher Nolan and David Goyer were sort of working on The Dark Knight Rises, David Goyer also had this idea for a Superman movie, which became Man of Steel. And Christopher Nolan was like, I don't know that I'm like the right guy to do this one, because I think he'd done his Batman films, and he was like, I think I want to move on. But so he was looking for somebody to direct the Superman film because he thought it was a good script. And so he looked at Zack Snyder because he knew about Watchmen. And so he approached Zack about making a Superman movie, and they like went out to lunch and talked about stories and, you know, characters and things. And so they became friends. Christopher Nolan was a producer on Man of Steel and also Batman v Superman. So you'll see his name pop up there. So yeah, Christopher Nolan was like, dude, I'm shielding you from this. So that was like my favorite thing that came out, just because like imagining that scenario just was so great. Because like two of my favorite film directors were like protecting each other. It made me happy. Yeah, so I'll hopefully put some Snyder Cut stuff out in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to check me out on YouTube, you can definitely do that.
Cool. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can also find me as a host on DC TV After Dark. As the song said, it's unrated.
You can say things.
You can say whatever words you want on there. We won't beep you. And you can also find me on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, where we just did an episode on Harley Quinn, another show that is not beeped, and where they say a lot of things. This week, I think, or next week, we're going to be doing a book club where we're reading Sky is the name of the book. And we are going to be talking about it. So that's fun because I actually just finished it. I was trying to literally like pull up Goodreads so I could. Her Name in the Sky is the right book by Kelly Quindellin, I believe. And it's to say it's a quick read. I started it like on not this Friday, but like last Friday. And I read it in a week. Like I was done by like the following Friday. And I'm not like a particularly fast reader. I read a lot, but I don't read like super fast. And so it's like a 400-page book. And I was like, how did I get this read so fast? But it's like a very quick, easy read. And it's a really interesting story. So it also brought me back to the story takes place in a Catholic high school, and I was like, oh my God. I was like sweating thinking about like when I used to get detention for not having my shirt tucked in. I was like, oh my God. So it brought all that back too. So that's fun. So I think Kat also went to Catholic school. So this podcast might just be reminiscing about weird stuff that happens in Catholic schools.
Well, I'm impressed you actually finished a book. That's because I started a new book, and we'll see how that goes, because I generally never finish a book that I start. So I'm always impressed when somebody's like, yeah, I just wrapped up finishing a book. I'm like, wow, how do you do that?
I'm like always reading something, but so I have Goodreads, and every year I set a challenge for myself, and every year I fall just a little short of the challenge. And so this year I'm like, no, this year I'm going to meet the challenge. So my challenge for the year is 25 books.
Holy cow! I'm lucky if I get one book read in a year. Wow! I'm impressed.
When I used to commute up to New York on the train, I used to read like 40 books in a year and stuff like that. My old challenge used to be 50, and I never got anywhere close to that in a year. So now that I'm never going anywhere except from the bed to the couch to the desk. To the couch, to the bed. Now my challenge is 25. Last year, I think I made 22. It was so close, but not quite. But I think this year is my year. I'm going to be wrong about it because I'm probably going to get like to 24. It'll be December 31st. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I can't go anywhere. I have to read this book.
I am so impressed. My brother made fun of me last year. We for my birthday we went to the beach on a vacation because we like to travel, but then like we couldn't because of COVID. So we were like, okay, we'll go to the beach. And I took a book to read on the beach, and what I read was or what I started to read was, I think it's called "What Is Art" by Tolstoy. And my brother was like,
so like a nice light beach read.
my brother was making fun of me. He was like, everybody else like, reads romance novels or like crime mystery books. And I'm like reading about how, art is really because, something is beautiful and it reconnects to nature. So I was like, this is research. This is what I want to read. Of course, I still haven't finished it. So I need to finish that Tolstoy book. But so that's my challenge with reading. So my challenge for myself in 2021, just read a book.
Listen, you can do it. I believe in you. What if we do another book club just so that you have that one book in? Because it really does light a fire under you.
It does.
I realized I was like, oh no, the book club is like next week, and I need to start reading this book. I've got 2 weeks. I got to do this thing. It's 400 pages. Like that's how I felt with what was it, Going on Being, where
yes,
like it was a short book, but I had to read it in a very, very short compressed amount of time.
And it was life-changing, really. So I think that's a good idea. There are some Supergirl related books that we probably could read, so that is a possibility.
So Rach, I just have to say in this chat, so Rachel says she's challenged herself to read 52 books. But then she said she's currently at 30, and what?
For 2021?
2021?
Like this year already?
Well, you have read 30 books in 2 months? How are you a speed reader? Are you a robot?
Wow. I need some help. I really am not great at reading.
That's impressive. Like the people who I see on Goodreads, like people who will just read like back to back to back to, and it's like 100 books in a year, and it's like, wow, that's awesome. I wish I could, because like I have a stack of books I haven't read, and I look at them and I go, statistically, I'm only going to get to a couple of those this year.
Rachel says I read short books.
I mean, yeah. That's thinking.
Why can't Tolstoy write shorter books? Is all I'm asking. That's okay. That's a good strategy. We'll aim for that.
Less Tolstoy and more shorter books, I think, is the key.
I actually really have enjoyed reading that Tolstoy book. I need to get back to. I was doing research for a Batman v Superman video, so that because I'm asking the question, the question that Liz Lemon as Mrs. Donaghy in the season 5 episode of 30 Rock, she asks, "What is art?" And Jack Donaghy says it's paintings of horses. That's what he thinks art is.
I mean, horses are hard to draw. Have you ever tried to draw a horse?
He's not wrong though.
He's not wrong.
So Rebecca Johnson is asking the question to herself. What is art?
I feel like you need like a beret for this.
I do. Maybe a little one of those little like
the pencil mustaches. Yes.
Maybe like a little cigarette with a coffee.
Your 12th coffee or jittery.
So that's why. I mean, it wasn't just because I picked up a Tolstoy book. It's actually for research. Okay.
So I think before we wrap up, we need to finish strong with our last ongoing segment. Rebecca, what on HBO Max are you enjoying?
I need to make like a jingle for this, because this has become a regular thing.
I think the jingle should just be HBO Max. We are not getting paid.
Let me think. I'm trying to look at some of the things right now. Just going from my list. All right, let me see. I'm going to dig into this, because I want to give you some good stuff.
Give me a deep cut. I can say while you're looking at that, we just started The Flight Attendant. Speaking of Harley Quinn, with the voice of Harley Quinn, Kaylee
Cuoco. That sounds right.
Feels right. Yeah, and that is. I think we're like 3 episodes in. It's pretty wild so far.
Okay, for this week, I'm just going to pick something, and that something right now is Samurai Jack.
Nice.
That's a show. So for people who don't know, I used to work at Turner. They are now called Warner Media Group. And I can talk about this now because I don't work there anymore. So it's very liberating that I can discuss this. And I chose to leave on my own accord in case people were wondering. So Samurai Jack was a show that I would work on sometimes. They had a big Blu-ray set that came out. And so I actually, if you watch that DVD or that Blu-ray, Rebecca Johnson had to watch it, make sure there were no mistakes. And I caught a couple. So you're welcome. So I watched all of Samurai Jack. I've seen every episode. And it is such a good show. It's an animated series and there's not a lot of dialogue. Samurai Jack does not speak very much. But it's beautiful. It's the way it's done is so great, and the story is really good. So I highly recommend Samurai Jack. I don't think it's a very long show; it's sort of a shorter series. But yeah, if you like good animated series and good stories and characters, Beaker,
as Beaker does, as Beaker's want to do.
Beaker's like, this is my cue to.
Hi, buddy.
Does Beaker have a suggestion? Are there any good cat movies?
I'm gonna have to look, and like maybe it's just like a movie that's just birds flying around that he could watch on HBO Max.
Well, there is that video of the live action Lion King. That the cat was
that's
watching.
Right. Yes, we're gonna have to put that on for Beaker and see how he feels. That's a Disney Plus though, buddy.
Oh yeah,
that's not brand synergy, my friend.
I recommend that during the HBO Max. So Samurai Jack for me is what I would point people to. But
nice.
Yeah, we could make this a thing. If people are into this HBO Max recommendation segment, let us know. Okay. All right. Well, I guess with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
I'm still Morgan Glennon.
And thanks for joining us as we look forward to the future of Supergirl on the silver screen.
DCTV podcast. There's too many now! Exclamation point. Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no!
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!